Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Mr. J. This is W.A.D. MTG. Back today to talk about the Kaladesh situation. I don't have a whole lot to say about it, but apparently Wotc discovered they committed a racism 10 years ago. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. So apparently, Kaladesh originally meant like world of tomorrow, or invention of tomorrow, or art of tomorrow, or the land of tomorrow, or something like that. And they hire Wotc brings in like outside linguists and historians and stuff for each set based off the theme of the set. And Kaladesh was loosely based on India, so they brought people in, linguists and stuff that helped them out in designing the set. So when they came up with the name Kaladesh, it was supposed to be like art of tomorrow, because it's the land of invention, right? And or the world of tomorrow, like this kind of like hopeful theme, futuristic type of theme that goes with the artifacts of the set, because of the whole storyline of the Kaladesh and the Inventors Fair, and how it's like an artifact driven set, right? So apparently they hired in another outside company to come in and look at this stuff. And prior to Ether Drift release, they wanted to, I guess, like edit it or retcon the name Kaladesh. So in the story, it seems like they did a flavorful way of describing what happened. So they have like a new government comes in, and they want a new theme for the future, and it's not like a violent or hostile takeover situation or like a coup. It's like a transition of power, like a peaceful transition of power to this new government and system that is going to run the plane of Kaladesh. So they come up with a new name for the new era in Kaladesh. Kaladesh, as everybody knows, right, is a very beloved set. It's a beloved plane, and if you look back on the actual set itself, it has some bangers in it, right? So Kaladesh is where the Masterpiece Inventions cards came from, and still to this day, those are like some of the most sought after, valuable and expensive cards in all of Magic, right? Like, for example, a Masterpiece Lotus Petal is like $400 or $500, and a regular Lotus Petal is like $15-20, right? So and there's all these different sweet ass artifacts that have Masterpiece variants, and they're hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and they're beautiful. The art is gorgeous, the foiling's gorgeous, the border is gorgeous. These cards are immaculate. And so players like artifacts, and Kaladesh is a very beloved set. So nobody's ever complained about it. In fact, most of the community has been begging to go back to Kaladesh. We've been wanting to go back to Kaladesh for a long time. It's been 10 years or so since Kaladesh's release, something like that. And we've all been wanting to go back there, and we're getting ready to go back there for Ether Drift, because Kaladesh is one of the planes in Ether Drift. They gave away basically 2 planes at MagicCon Vegas. They showed a picture, like a panorama picture, and in the first plane you could clearly see, based off the details in the art, that the first plane was Kaladesh, and the second plane was Zendikar, and the third plane is a plane I don't think we've been to yet, and there hasn't been any spoilers as of yet that I know of that describe what the third plane is. So they decided to rename Kaladesh. I don't know what the name is. I don't remember what they said. I've watched a few videos on it already, just because I found it interesting that such a woke, like liberal fascist run company like Wotc, although I love the product, right? I'm a big fan of Magic the Gathering, also a fan of D&D and some other Hasbro entities and IPs. But it's very woke, right? The company's very woke. So they bring in this new outside influence company, and they're like for Ether Drift. And as they are going over the product, they told Wotc that the word Kala in Kaladesh can have a derogatory meaning when referring to a person. So instead of being like the world of tomorrow or the home. It's like, it means like home or world or a country or something like that, of the future, kind of, right? Like the land of tomorrow kind of feel. They said when referring to people, Kala means black, which it's like, okay, you know, if you don't know, black people actually prefer to be called black. You don't call them people of color. That's fucking racist, right? Like, if you call somebody who's, like, George Carlin said this, by the way, if you call somebody who's black or Native American or Mexican or Indian, for example, because this set, you know, is derived from India. If you call them a person of color, that's real freaking close to calling them a colored person, isn't it? That's really freaking close. So I don't think there's any difference. I think saying people of color is racist, personally. And all the black people I've known my whole life prefer to just be called black. So I guess in India, though, this company says that it's got a negative or racist connotation when referring to people. So, you know, it's not okay, apparently, to say black people. But if you put that into Kaladesh, and you put that meaning into Kaladesh, then it means like blacks of tomorrow, or the world of black people instead of the world of tomorrow, or I guess it's art, right? The art or invention of tomorrow. So it's like black people's art of the future. I don't understand how that is really racist, other than maybe like the land or the home of black, which is kind of like derivative, right? It's stupid. But if you think about it, and you go to India and you call it the land of black, that kind of could be racist, right? It could be racist, even though Indian people aren't black. They're actually Middle Eastern. They're not black at all. They're copper skinned, but they're not black, right? They're not black. They're not from Africa. They're Middle Eastern. They're from India. But I do understand it. And I'm still going to refer to it as Kaladesh, because it's a beloved plane for me, and that's what I remember. You know, it's one of my favorite sets all time. So, and I opened all of mine. So, you know, it's going to take a little while. We'll probably have to visit Kaladesh a few more times before the new name actually sets in. And when they come out with the story for Ether Drift, I'll listen to it and see what I think. Because I like the idea of like a multi-plane death race set, right? I like the idea of the set, although I'm not sure if it strictly fits like in Magic. But you know, with Universes Beyond and everything that's been going on recently, what Magic set does fit into the land, or the multiversal lands of Magic that we've known throughout history in the past, right? Not many. So I guess we're gonna have to accept that going forward, that Kaladesh is no longer Kaladesh. However, before I end this video, I noticed that, and some other people had noticed as well that I'd seen, it's going to skyrocket the sealed product. See, because Kaladesh had the masterpiece inventions in it, a lot of them boxes were opened. There's not a lot of sealed product of Kaladesh left. So it's all been opened. Everybody was chasing the masterpiece arts. So because they're very valuable cards, they're very beautiful and masterfully created cards, the masterpieces. So there's not a whole lot of sealed product left. But if you have sealed product of Kaladesh, you just made out like a bandit, because I just looked online before making this video, and the sealed boxes of Kaladesh I seen going for as high as $800 for a sealed box of Kaladesh. And the reason for that is, if Wotc realized that they created racism 10 years ago that nobody's ever commented about, that nobody's ever said anything about, that nobody's ever been offended by, except for them, except for the outside company that they hired to look at the references that they made. So in the statement that Wotc came out with, they said that we'll never be calling it Kaladesh ever again, except for maybe in obscure instances in the story where they might reference before the transition to whatever the new name is, when the plane was called Kaladesh. Kind of like Mirrodin and New Phyrexia, right? Like sometimes planes change over time. You know, if you look at some other planes, they've done some of that kind of stuff. Like Kamigawa became the Neon Dynasty, and now it's like cyberpunk, which I think is awesome. But sometimes planes do that in Magic; they change over time. So I do think that they picked a very tasteful way in the story to go about changing the name and everything. But with that being said, they said that they'll never reference Kaladesh again. So basically what they did was they took the entire set of Kaladesh, the original set with all the masterpieces, and made it pseudo reserve list. They're never going to reprint it. They're never going to do Kaladesh remastered because they feel that white guilt, right? By it's just some liberal fascist nonsense, basically. But because of that, they will never call it Kaladesh ever again. So they're calling it this new plane, and that takes the old set and basically puts it on a pseudo reserve list. So if you are in the market for Kaladesh, or you have sealed Kaladesh, or can get your hands on some sealed packs or a booster box or something of Kaladesh, I'd probably recommend it because it's going to continue to go up and up and up and up and up. And any of your cards that are from the Kaladesh set, make sure you kind of just take note of those cards and where they are in your collections and where they are in your decks, and keep an eye on their value in the future because they're going to skyrocket, especially if the actual word Kaladesh is referenced in the card, in the flavor text, or in the name of the card, or it's even if it's like obscurely referenced somehow in the card. Keep an eye on the value of those cards because they're going to skyrocket. I see Kaladesh going up to like $1,000-$1,200 a box. Right now, overnight, it went to like $700-$800 overnight. Now, it was already an expensive set. It's already old. It's out of print. So whatever sealed product is out there is all that's out there. So it is expensive. This isn't financial advice. But if you like the set like I did, I'm going to be looking myself for some sealed packs of Kaladesh that I can keep around just to have sitting in my closet as a reference or a conversation piece. And then maybe one day I might sell them or open them on a live stream. As far as the Kaladesh cards in my collection or in my decks, I'm just going to make sure that decks that have Kaladesh are like prevalent in the deck, or it's like an artifact build or something, I'm going to just make sure those decks are probably double sleeved, because those cards are pseudo reserve list now. They're going to skyrocket in value. Even the dual lands that have been reprinted, the Kaladesh art for them is going to go up. So that's basically all I got to say about it. I'm not a big fan of the change. I love the plane. I love the set. I love the story. I look forward to the future of the story from that plane. I love the flavor of the plane. I loved everything about it. And everybody I know that is a Magic fan or that plays artifacts were also a fan of it. And nobody knew what it meant. As a matter of fact, in the article, in looking over other people's coverage of the subject, I didn't know that it meant like World of Tomorrow or Art of the Future or whatever the hell it means originally, or whatever they intended it to mean. So, just as we didn't know that, nobody knew that it meant black or black people of tomorrow. Check out my Wotc when they realized they committed a racism short. It's the Anchorman 2 scene, right? When he comes in and realizes that his boss is the black lady. Hilarious scene. Super funny movie. Check it out. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm Mr. J. Peace out, y'all.